Craving the coffee flavor you love, but without the caffeine? Kachava's got you covered with their newest coffee flavor. This all-in-one nutrition shake delivers bold, authentic flavor crafted from premium decaffeinated Brazilian beans. Quality nutrition shouldn't be complicated. Just 2 scoops of Kachava's all-in-one nutrition shake, and you've got 25 grams of protein, 6 grams of fiber, greens, and so much more. Whether you're craving that coffee taste to kickstart your morning ritual, or as a nutrient-packed reward to round out your afternoon, Kachava keeps you fueled and satisfied wherever your day takes you. Plus, it actually tastes delicious. No fillers, no nonsense. Just the good stuff your body craves. And for the times you feel like switching it up, you've got 7 flavors to choose from, all with the highest quality ingredients. Treat yourself to the flavor and nutrition your body craves. Go to Kachava.com and use code FITNESS. New customers get 15% off their first order. That's KACHAVA.com, code FITNESS.
Breaking down every game, every day in Major League Baseball. This is the Baseball Betting Show. Here is your host, Greg Peterson.
Warm up from Evo. Welcome to lovely Las Vegas for the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson. Now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. We've got an excellent podcast for you. We're going to be joined in segment number 2 by a good friend of ours, Dylan Rockford, who does such great work over at the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. We're going to chat with him about what we've seen with the it's absolute painful last few weeks of the New York Mets, as he is based out there in the great state of New York. How to gauge teams that are in this big giant rut. They're in a big giant rut. Obviously the Phillies are, the Kansas City Royals. How do you go about handicapping those teams? How much should they be downgraded? And then we're going to be taking a look at all that we've got on the card for Wednesday in the final segment. Going to get you guys picks and analysis on every game on the betting board for this Baseball Wednesday as we touch them all. If you do have a question, comment, segment idea, what have you for this podcast, you have 1 of 2 ways to be able to fire those in. First one is my Twitter/X timeline at gunit_81. Keep in mind, CM, they mean does not matter, so as per usual, please do send these into the timeline, and the other way is find an Apple Podcast review. If you rate this podcast 5 stars, it's very much appreciated. From there, you're able to fire in whatever you'd like to hear on this podcast via that 5-star review. Did not get in any Twitter/X questions today, but we had a fun day of baseball on Tuesday. Let's take a look back at it, try to find some trends, and try to get to know these teams a little bit better.
Games from yesterday is Greg buzzing about. Here is the rowdy recap.
It is now a dozen losses for the New York Mets in a row. 5-3, the Twins get the job done. Hard to believe that the Mets at one point this year were 7-4. As Noah McLean, he does give up 3 runs in 6 2/3 innings. He gives up home run to Byron Buxton, 4th home run in the campaign, but he had a no-hitter going through, I believe, 5 innings. He does give up the 3 runs here, but still not a bad outing there. Oscar Brisbane, 4 outside the bullpen scoreless, and then in a 3-3 game, Devin Williams. He walks 3, gives up a hit. He does not get a single out. Austin Warren from there was able to get 3 strikeouts, but too little, too late. Simeon Woods Richardson gives up 3 runs over the course of 5 innings. Francisco Lindor took him deep, 2nd home run in the campaign, but Anthony Bandage, Justin Topa, both landed scoreless inning. Cole Sands makes the Mets pound Sands 2 scoreless innings to be able to get that one to the window. Also being able to get to the window, the Cleveland Guardians. You want to talk about bad bullpens. Astros upchuck this game 8-5. The Guardians get it done for Parker Messick. A little bit of regression here after he took a no-hitter into the 9th inning in his last start. 3 runs allowed in 5 innings. Sean Armstrong, Peyton Palante both landed scoreless inning. Connor Brogdon give up an unearned run in a 3rd of an inning. Tim Aaron, pair of outside the bullpen scoreless, and then Cade Smith allows a run in an inning, but Ryan Weiss just not long for this game. 3 1/3 innings, allows 2 runs, but walked 4 and gave up a home run as Angel Martinez, 3rd home run in the campaign. Colton Gordon, a scoreless inning. Kai Wei Tang, 2 2/3 innings scoreless, and then Anya De Los Santos and Brian King. They combined to give up 6 runs as they combined for the 8th inning. De Los Santos 1 out, King 2 outs. Not what they were looking for there, and for the Astros now 9-16 to start the season. For the Atlanta Braves, they were riding a nice 6-game win streak going into Tuesday. That gets snapped 11-4. The Washington Nationals get to the window here as Foster Griffin does give up a pair of home runs over the course of his 6 innings, 3 runs to totalize. Eli White, 1st home run in the campaign. Brooks Baldwin is 6th. Bullpen from there, not bad. Cionel Perez gives up a run in an inning. Gus Varlin, Clayton Beater both give you a scoreless inning. And Reynaldo Lopez was not long for this game. He racked up 58 pitches while getting 3 outs. Gives up 4 runs, all of which were earned, including a home run to James Wood, who had good Wood, 8th home run in the campaign. Curtis Mead from there gets a 3rd home run in the campaign. That comes off of Yoel Payamps, who gives up 3 runs in an inning. Ian Hamilton gives up 3 runs in an inning. You had Aaron Bummer not be a bummer, a scoreless inning. And Jose Suarez, 3 scoreless innings, although he did walk 4. the Dodd-father, Dylan Dodd, was in for an inning. He gave up a run, but for the Atlanta Braves, they give it up to a national team that's currently in the top 3 in terms of run production. Another win for them. For the Cincinnati Reds, they're now 16-8 and 10-2 on the road. 12-6 they lambaste the Tampa Bay Rays. Steven Matz gives up 3 home runs, 4 runs in total over the course of his 3 innings. And then you'd have Griffin Jacks get Jacks up. He gave up a home run in 1 1/3 innings, 2 runs in total. Ian Seymour scoreless inning. Hunter Biggie gives up 3 runs in 2/3 of an inning. Yandres Gomez, he gives up 2 runs over the course of 2 innings, and got to the point where the backup third baseman, Ben Williamson, came in for an inning, and he would give up a solo home run of his own. As going deep for the Cincinnati Reds, you had Brian Hayes finally get on the board, his first home run of the campaign. The Williamson home run, by the way, came to Ellie De La Cruz, who had 2 7th and 8th home runs of the campaign. Dane Myers, first home run of the season. Spencer Steer, his 4th, and Chase Burns, he did give up a home run of his own. Jonathan Aranda, 4th home run of the campaign, gives up 2 runs in 5 2/3 innings. Kyle Nicholas did give up 4 runs and 5 walks in the 9th inning, but by then it was too little too late. You had Pierce Johnson give you a scoreless inning, Sam Moll, 4 outs out of the bullpen scoreless. So the Reds, they continue their winning ways. To be able to continue their winning ways was the St. Louis Cardinals, 5-3. They take down the Miami Marlins. They've now won 7 out of their last 8 games, as Nate Church, well, he was able to get home with a home run. Second home run on the campaign. Chris Paddock continues his rough start to the season. 5 runs allowed in 4 2/3 innings. Tyler Phillips, 3 scoreless innings. And John King, the former Cardinal, 4 outs out of the bullpen scoreless. But it was Mayday. Dustin May gives up a solo home run as Jacob Marcy finally gets on the board for his first home run on the campaign. That's all that he did allow in 5 1/3 innings. Justin Brule, 5 outs out of the bullpen scoreless. Ryan Stanek, 2 runs allowed in 2/3 of an inning. George Soriano, and out of the bullpen scoreless. Riley O'Brien, 8 scoreless innings. Cardinals get that one in the oldest rivalry in baseball. The Yankees shut out the Red Sox 4-0 the final. Connolly early, well, it was a little bit early perhaps to trust in him. 3 runs allowed in 5 1/3 innings. He gives up home run to Giancarlo Stanton, 3rd home run in the campaign. From there you did have Tyler Semenijo come in for 5 outs out of the bullpen scoreless, and then in 2 innings Jack Anderson, very very young player, he gives up 1 run along the way. And for Luis Eel, really good start here, 6 1/3 innings scoreless. Brent Hedrick, pair of outs out of the bullpen scoreless. Tim Hill, David Benhar, they close the door, scoreless 8th and 9th innings. Lots of high-scoring games across the board in baseball, and for the Detroit Tigers, bullpen was not great here. They fall to the Milwaukee Brewers by a count 12-4. Not going to say Kadir Montero was terrific, but 3 runs allowed in 5 2/3 innings, that's passable. And then Emmanuel De Jesus, 7 runs, 5 of which were earned, give it up in 1 1/3 innings. Connor Seabold gives up 2 runs in an inning. He had the backup catcher Jake Rogers with a scoreless inning, and Kyle Harrison, he was on it. He only goes for 3 innings. He jacked up his pitch count to 72, but gives up 1 run along the way. Bullpen picked it up in a big way. Jake Woodford does give up 3 runs over the course of 2 innings. By then, the Brewers were up by a kind of 12-1. Aaron Ashby and Trevor McGill, a scoreless inning. Grant Anderson, 2 scoreless innings, and the Brewers go 10 of 16 with men in scoring position. So a nice big W out there. Nice W for these guys, as the Chicago Cubs, they get it done against the Phillies, who they've now lost 7 straight games, 7-4. The Cubs get the job done. As for the Phillies, you had Jesus Luzardo not be long for this game. He jacks up his pitch count to 100, but only gave up 1 run in 4 2/3 innings, did walk 4. From there, the bullpen implodes. So Ryan Kirkering out of the bullpen squirrels. Tanner Bakes gives up 2 runs in an inning. Tim Mesa, 3 runs allowed in his inning of work, and a pair of bombs. Going deep for the Cubs, you had Nico Horner get his 4th home run of the season. Seiya Suzuki, I see you for home run number 1 of the season. Former Cub Brad Keller, pair of outs out the bullpen squirrels. Jose Alvarado gives up a run in an inning, and Shota Imanaga continues his nice start to the season. Does give up a solo home run to Kyle Schwarber, 8th home run in the campaign, but that's all he'd allow in 7 innings. You did have from there Riley Martin give up a home run, 2 runs in total over the course of an inning, as Bryce Harper, his 5th home run of the campaign. Jacob Webb gives up an unearned run in a 1/3 of an inning, and Caleb Theobar, he gets the final 2 outs of the game to be able to record a save. The Walker Texas Rangers get the job done against the Pittsburgh Pirates. This by count of 5-1 as Kumar Rocker, a nice start here. He had it rocking and rolling. 1 run allowed in 6 innings. Cole Winn, Jacob Latz, Jacob Junis, all in a scoreless inning. Carmen Bolzinski, 5 runs allowed in 4 1/3 innings. You had the bullpen from there be able to do their part, as Evan Sisk, Justin Lawrence both give you a scoreless inning. Wilbert Dotel was able to give you 5 outs out of the bullpen scoreless, but by then a little bit too little too late. Pirates, they seem to be regressing just a little bit with regards to that offense as well. A team that is looking to progress a little bit with regards to their offense, the Kansas City Royals, they do find a way to get the job done against the Baltimore Orioles. This by kind of 6-5, as they had a nice walk-off winner out here, and for the Kansas City Royals, they they did a nice job of getting to the Wizard of Oz. Shane Baz gives up 4 runs over the course of 6 1/3 innings. From there, Grant Wolf from a pair of outs on the bullpen scoreless. Uncle Rico Garcia does give up a home run in his inning of work, as going deep off of him, it was Michael Massey for his first home run campaign. Ryan Elsley gets one out of the bullpen and then allows a walk-off wild pitch to Miguel Garcia to be able to score as he was pitching to Salvador Perez. So a little bit of a funky end there. And then Chris with Gabe Bubich, he gives up 3 runs over the course of 6 innings. Royals were riding a big losing streak coming into this game, by the way, and he did allow a home run in this game to Kobe Bayo, first home run of the campaign. Allie Rushman, fresh off the injury list, he gets a home run off of Matt Strom, who allowed 2 runs in his inning work, but Nate Mears, Lucas Ursich, they both turn a scoreless inning. So ding dong, the witches said the Royals, they finally get a win of their own. The San Francisco Giants get a nice win. 3-1, they're able to take down the LA Dodgers. Yoshinobu Yamamoto got hit around a little bit early, as he does give up a pair of runs in the first inning, actually a trio of runs in the first inning, would settle down from there. Gives up 3 runs over the course of 7 innings, but the damage had already been done because Landon Roop, he gives up just 1 run over the course of 5 innings, did walk 5, but Dodgers unable to cash in as Ryan Baruchi, Eric Miller, Ryan Walker all led to scoreless inning. Keaton winning out of the bullpen scoreless. Matt Gage, a pair of outs out of the bullpen scoreless, and for Tanner Scott, scoreless inning out of him, but nothing doing for the Dodgers on this night. Whole lot doing for the Chicago White Sox. 11-5. They get the job done against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Merrill Kelly, not what he was looking for. 8 runs allowed in 4 1/3 innings, including a trio of bombs. Going deep, Miguel Vargas, his 4th home run of the campaign. Munitaka Murakami, his 9th home run of the season. A little bit later on, this one was off of Ryan Thompson. Home run number 1 of the season and the career of Sam Antonasi. Hopefully I got that correct. And then Colson Montgomery, he would also get his 6th home run of the season. And for Thompson out of the bullpen, 3 runs allowed. He does not get a single out. It got to the point where backup catcher James McCann had to throw for a scoreless inning, so yay verily there. Kevin Ginkel, scoreless inning. Jonathan Loizaga, Taylor Clark, both give you 4 outs out of the bullpen, scoreless. And for Schomburg, pretty solid start here. 2 runs allowed over the course of 6 innings. Does give up a home run, as you had Alec Thomas get his first home run in the campaign. And then you had home run number 3 of the season for Eliarmo Vargas. That comes off of Oswaldo Bido, who does give up 3 runs over the course of 2 innings. Lucas Sims, a scoreless inning, but by then the damage had been done. And speaking of doing some damage, the Athletics, they're now 8-6 on the road, 5-2. They take down the Seattle Mariners. Cal Raleigh's starting to heat up once again. 4th home run in the campaign. That comes off of Jacob Lopez, who gives up 2 runs in 5 1/3 innings. Scott Barlow, 4 outs out of the bullpen scoreless. Hogan Harris was a hero with an out of the bullpen scoreless. And Jack Perkins, 2 scoreless innings. Not a bad start here from Luis Castillo. 2 runs allowed over the course of 5 innings. Was taken deep by Jeff McNeil, his first home run in the campaign. And then Shea Langoliers. Shea bangs his 8th home run of the campaign. That comes off of Gabe Spire, gives up that home run in his inning of work. Edward Bizzardo, a run given up in his inning of work. And then you had 2 innings filled by Cole Wilcox. He gives up 1 run along the way, but for the Seattle Mariners, 0-4 with men in scoring position for the Toronto Blue Jays. They're starting to pick it up. 4-2 win over the LA Angels. Jack Kachanowicz, actually a really nice start here. 1 run allowed in 5 2/3 innings. Drew Pomeranz, 3 runs allowed in an inning. That was not great. Sam Bachman, 4 outs out of the bullpen scoreless. Nick Sandlin, scoreless inning. And Patrick Corbin, 1 run allowed in 5 innings. You'll take that if you're the Blue Jays for sure. From there, Spencer Miles along with Mason Fluharty, a combined 2 scoreless innings. Tyler Rogers, a scoreless inning. Jeff Hoffman does give up a run in a 1/3 of an inning. He continues to be rough, but Louis Varland, pair of outside the bullpen scoreless to be able to get the Blue Jays to the winner's circle. And then, in something you truly don't see very often, a 1-0 game in Coors Field. And it's not even like you had the most notable starters in this game. Randy Vasquez, 7 scoreless innings. The Rockies utilized an opener, Jimmy Harrigan. He gives up nothing, strikes out the side, as a matter of fact, in the first inning. And Chase Solander takes a loss. He was good, though. 9 punch-outs, 1 run allowed in 6 innings. Typically, that's good enough to win in Coors Field. Juan Milla, Brandon Bernardino, they both on a scoreless inning. And then Jason Adam along with Audrey Morejon, they're able to end a scoreless inning. Padres now 16-7, by the way. And Rockies are actually still 6-5-0. Much improved from what we saw a season ago. And if you're taking a look at trend-wise, what we're getting in baseball right now, it has been an overwhelming season to this point. 53.4% of games are going over the total. 183 overs, 159 unders. And if I'm not mistaken, 9 pushes along the way as well. Favorites are not having a great time of it. Hitting at 54.4%, 187 and 157 on the money line, with 30 of those favorites not being able to cover the run line. Last 7 days has been a rebound for favorites, so 53 and 41 on the money line, and then the over rate right around about 52% over the last 7 days. 49 overs, 45 unders, and we had 1 push along the way as well. That's what we're seeing in baseball right now, and that's where we're getting trend-wise. Coming up next, how about if we head out to the great state of New York to chat with our good friend Dylan Rockford of the Sports Family Podcast Network, right here on the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now a part of the VSiN Family Podcast.
breaking down every game, every day in Major League Baseball. This is the Baseball Betting Show. Here is your host, Greg Peterson.
And we're back here in lovely Las Vegas for the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now part of the VSiN family of podcasts. Always great to be joined by this man, as we've got Dylan Rockford aboard. He's doing such amazing work over at the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, taking a look at this great game that we all know and love of baseball, and he's doing a great job on so many different fronts. I know that he does X Kicks Picks, that is where he's taking a look at the fight game. He does a great job with the Dream Wager. He's all over the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, and a man that you're able to follow on the old Twitter/X at Rock with 2Ks, the number 24 altogether. And Dylan, it's always a pleasure, my friend. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Greg. Always good to be with you. How you doing today?
I'm doing great, and I know that you're doing great right now, and I'm sorry if this kills the mood a little bit, but you are a New York Mets fan. We do not know how the game went for Tuesday, but it's then not...
They'll probably lose, let's be honest. It'll be 12 in a row.
Oh, man, it's not been great. But just what have you seen here, and where has it all gone horribly wrong? Because it feels like it's Murphy's Law on steroids, and it feels like they get one aspect of the game right one night, they get it wrong the next, and it's just like interchangeable, and it's absolutely wild.
Where did it go wrong? I think that's the $1 million question.
Might be more than $1 million.
Yeah. Obviously, Juan Soto getting hurt really hurt the lineup. I mean, the lineup wasn't good to begin with. And all these smart people, analytical people, they were telling me Bo Bichette, he's a contact hitter. He doesn't strike out. He struck out more times this year than he has all year last year. I don't know where it all gone wrong. I truthfully, on a serious note, I don't think Lindor's a good leader. I don't think people want to follow him. They have no heart. You see it. It's lifeless baseball. There's not a competitive bone in their body. It's Lindor's smile, too, that really gets under my skin. When he strikes out against Ohtani, he, celebrates with the other team and he laughs. For David Stern, for a guy who comes out and says, we're going to be better defensively, I've never seen a team out of position more on double plays than this team. I don't understand it. So 0-11 since Mondani has hugged Mr. and Mrs. Met. So I blame actually the New York mayor for this curse. And I don't know. You can't win the World Series in April, but you could definitely lose it. And if they don't win 6 to 7 games in this 9-game homestand, the season's over. I really don't know. Luke Weaver's been terrible as well. The bullpen's regressed. The one bright spot I could say is probably Lewis Robert Jr. That's about it. Everybody on this lineup is terrible. Brett Beatty is garbage. My 22-1 Carson Bench Rookie of the Year, that's out of the window. Jorge Polanco, his wrist hurts. They said he was battling through an injury, and then they were just like, yeah, no, you're just that bad. We're just going to sit you. It's terrible. So I don't know. I guess the good spot is Nolan McClain is a stud, but he's just like another Jacob deGrom for us. He's nails, but then we give him 1 or 2 run support and lose the game. You can't even win with your best pitcher on the mound. Phillies, they're just as bad. So it's a race to the second team for second place because Atlanta's on fire right now. They've won, I think, 6 in a row, 8-2 in their last 10, but there's still a chance for second place, but it all starts today.
Yeah, I mean, man, it has been rough to say the least, and at the very least, you've had some company with the Philadelphia Phillies, and how awful they've been this far this season, as well as we do have Dylan Rockford, who does such great work over at the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, joining me right here on the Baseball Betting Show. And when it does come to these cold teams, like the Mets, like the Phillies, how much do you have to downgrade them until they just snap the losing streak? Because I do think that baseball is one of the streakiest sports out there, because if you look at the numbers themselves, like the last few days, if they were just like a normal 5-5 in their last 10 games or something like that, you'd be like, hey, these teams are undervalued. But I just think that sometimes when you're in a rut, it's really hard to climb yourself out of them. And I think that that always needs to be taken into account with regards to handicapping.
Absolutely. The Mets, the Phillies, the Royals, another team, I just can't back them at this point. And my model's showing it. Even at home, for example, tomorrow with Michael Wacha on the mound, who he's been incredible, but I just can't really back them in this spot, regardless if they're a favorite or not. So yeah, that does go into my handicapping. I can't back them until further notice, until they show some care or some positive regression, then they're on fade notice until further notice.
Yeah, absolutely. It has been rough for the Royals as well. And if you, like me, had the under in that Royals versus
Oh
Orioles
my
game on Monday,
God.
yeah,
Terrible.
that's one of the worst beats that you are gonna find this decade, ladies and gentlemen. Holy crud! Like that's bad. That's really really bad to say the
But
least.
honestly, Greg, you had it right. The under was the play. You know what I mean? So I wouldn't really change much. I know it's an awful, probably one of the worst beats I've seen in a long, long time, but it shouldn't really change your handicap that much going for further. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, you play that 10,000 times,
Yeah.
9,999 times, the under hits. So
Yeah.
you can feel good about that, but yeah, unfortunately, it was the wheel landing on the one time in which it didn't hit. So there is that aspect of things. And I'm so glad that you were mentioning the Braves a little bit before, because as we're doing this right now, they're actually trailing the Nationals. We'll see what happens because they also came back on Monday. But on Wednesday, it's going to be Martin Perez against Zach Littell. Total of 9, and the Braves are right around about minus 140 or so favorites. How do you look at this game and really the totals in Nationals games? Because I have found this with Washington. Offense has been really good, and pitching is still the Nationals pitching, and it's not good.
Yeah, I honestly think it's a short price here with the Braves. I don't know why the market is kind of undervaluing them a little bit. I see a minus 138. My numbers made them a minus 165 favorite. Now, I do think that's a little steep, but the total is low as well. I love the over. My total came out to 9.9. So I think fading Zach Littell after his last performance is the best option. Atlanta's on fire right now. You can't fade them. Both teams are able to score some runs. And as good as Martin Perez has been, the Nationals do hit lefties extremely well. In a spot like this is where I like to back the Nationals. They're hitting almost 300 off of lefties this year. And at home, 8-2 towards the over in DC. So I like the over. I think that's the better play because as you see, like the Nationals could score runs. Like they arguably have a top 10 offense. They just can't pitch to save their life.
Yeah, that bullpen has been bad for a very, very long time and not going to be getting any better anytime soon. And have you been looking at a lot of overs in terms of Astros games? Because right now I'm seeing that total of 8 with Tanner Bybee going for the Cleveland Guardians and Peter Lambert going for the Astros. And I recognize that the conditions are not the best in Cleveland. I recognize that Cleveland is not the greatest offense in the world. A total of 8 with Peter Lambert on the bump just seems really, really low here.
It's really low. I like the Guardians. Minus 130, I think, is a very fair number as well. But over 8, I'm going to take it. My total came out to a flat 9, but Peter Lambert, he looked terrible in his last start versus the Cardinals. Now, Cardinals are...
When has he ever looked good?
That's the problem. And I just think the Guardians, they're a bet-on team at home for me right now. They're a decent team at home. And Lambert, he's bad. And I just think Tanner Bybee, he will give up a few runs as well. So we're going to fade both pitchers, and the Astros bullpen has been terrible. So I am going to take the over here with the Guardians and the Astros.
Yep, I'm right there with you, and I do think that that's just such a low total. Again, not the greatest conditions in the world out there, but just feels way too low, as we do have Dylan Rockford doing great work over at the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, joining me on the Baseball Betting Show, and we've talked a lot about the bad teams. We've talked a lot about the bad. Who are a few teams, though, that you've seen some good with, and maybe you've been betting on them the last few weeks, and they've been able to make you a few bucks?
Yeah, well, Atlanta, Cincinnati was a very surprising team, 7-3 in their last, and they've been getting disrespected by the market. A lot of plus money with the Reds here, so I've been backing them. The Cubs, they've won 6 in a row as well. The Cubs are hot right now. I mean, they just swept the Mets, so but that's not saying much. And then they get the Phillies, so I've been backing them. That's about it for right now. Fading Kansas City. I mean, but good teams. That's about it. I do think the Angels with Soriano should win. I think that's a very interesting division, the AL West. It's a 4-team race right now, and Astros really not in the picture whatsoever, but Athletics, Rangers, Brandon Nimmo's off to a really good start. You got Soriano, who he's the best pitcher in baseball right now, and Seattle, who was the odds-on favorite to honestly come out of the whole AL. So I think it's very interesting in that AL West.
Yep, I think so as well. And Jose Soriano, he has been rock solid. If you had to give up the Cy Young Award right now, he would have to be the guy. Obviously, we're only 5 starts in, but man, that has been tremendous for them. And what have you made out of the Pittsburgh Pirates? Because right now they are quite literally a pick 'em, -108 to -110 against the Rangers coming up for Wednesday with Jack Leiter versus Braxton Ashcraft. And that's a team that I've been very, very pleasantly surprised by as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a pick 'em right now, -108. Braxton Ashcraft has looked decent. 2.38 ERA, 106 whip, 27 strikeouts. He's been very pleasant. I like Bubba Chandler as well. I'm not a Jack Leiter fan at all. I just think their recent performance here for the Pirates, they're a bet on team. I made them a -135 favorite here in this spot. So -108, I do like it. As for a total, I do lean under 8.5. I think if you could get shop around, I see some 8s around, but I probably would lean under. My total came out to a flat 8, so I like the under, and I definitely would take the Pirates here. I do think they have been a surprise team as of late. Second, they're only a game and a half back of Cincinnati.
Yeah, it's been impressive what we've seen there in the entire NL Central, man.
Yeah,
that has been a really good start to the year for all those teams. And is there anything else that's standing out on this Wednesday for you? There are a few games off the board, but have all 30 teams in action? Anything else that's really catching your eye?
I'll go to the very interesting series between the Yankees and the Red Sox. I get Max Fried being the favorite, but this big of a favorite, I don't think I could take them. I like the over. 7.5 seems a little low. My total came out to 8.3. And as for a side, it's a dog or pass for me. As good as Max Fried has been, there has been regression from him as well. I just can't back them. Yankees don't hit lefties well. And Ranger Suarez has looked good in back-to-back starts, scoreless outings from him as well. So I just can't back the Yankees here in this spot. The wind is going to be blowing out in Fenway. And for as long history as these two teams have had, the Red Sox always play the Yankees very tough, especially in Fenway. So I would take the dog, and I actually like the over as well.
Absolutely. When it comes to these rivalry matchups, I always do think that you have to put a little bit of credence into that, and I think that it's going to be a good one going down for Wednesday. And I know you, Dylan, are doing such a great job over at the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. You're doing a great job on so many different fronts, whether that be baseball, the fight game, and so much more. So love the good people at home know it's all on tap for you and how people can follow along on social media and other platforms.
Yeah, you guys can follow me over on X/Twitter at Rock with 2Ks24. Yeah, we got UFC's back at the Apex, UFC Vegas 116. So it's always fight week there. We got the NFL draft in a few days. Let's see if the Mets don't screw it up at 2. Greg, all I ask is just be nice to the Mets. That's all I ask.
Well, I will do my best. I think that the Mets have to be nice to the Mets first.
Yeah.
Because, man, that's not been great what they've been doing to themselves, to say the least.
And we have day baseball, thank God.
Yeah, we do have day baseball, and that's what we always love. And we always love having Dylan aboard because he always lends such great insights. And every single time he joins this podcast, always makes us a little bit smarter. So big thanks to Dylan for joining me on the Baseball Betting Show, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. Coming next, it is that time of the podcast. I give you picks and analysis on every game on the betting board for this Baseball Wednesday as we have them all.
Breaking down every game, every day in Major League Baseball. This is the Baseball Betting Show. Here is your host, Greg Peterson.
And we're back here in lovely Las Vegas for the Baseball Betting Show with myself, Greg Peterson, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. And it's always great to get Dylan Rockford aboard. He does such great work over at the Sports Gambling Podcast Network, taking a look at this great game that we all know and love of baseball. Every single time he joins me, he lends such great insights. Did so once again today. So a big thanks to Dylan for joining me in the last segment. Now it is that time of the podcast. I give you picks and analysis on every game on the betting board for this Baseball Wednesday as we touch them all.
If a game is listed on the betting board, Greg has a side and a total on it, so it is time to touch them all.
Do note that as per usual, any changes that are made to these plays will be listed up on my Twitter/X feed at @GUnit_81. Gonna be going in Las Vegas rotation order. This is where we go with the National League games first in time order, then the American League games in time order, and then the Interleague games are at the bottom once again in time order. So how about if we do get things started? 9:51, 9:52. It's the Miami Marlins playing against the St. Louis Cardinals. Kyle Leahy goes for St. Louis. Jansen Junk hopes to not live up to his name for the Miami Marlins. Marlins -125 to -131 favorites, between +105 to +110. Then number on St. Louis and a total of 8.5. Over and under both at -110. And I am going to be in on the over. I did set my total at 8.7. Kyle Leahy has just had a tough time transitioning from the bullpen. Like, he had a sub-350 ERA last season in the bullpen, was never really a strikeout artist, but was able to do a solid job there. But I mean, right now he is posting up an ERA of a 5.21, just 6.2 strikeouts, 3.8 walks per 9 innings, so it's been a struggle for him, and it's not like he's backed up by some sort of amazing bullpen. The Cardinals entered into Tuesday 26th in the big leagues towards the bullpen ERA, and there are some nice pieces in there. Jojo Romero last year, sub 350 ERA. Matt Vanson last year was great. He was not good to begin the season this year, and I don't think that he's going to pick it up. Ryan Stanek looks completely washed at this point. You've got a lot of pieces that just have not been great, to say the least, and for the Miami Marlins, it has been a little bit suspect with regards to their bullpen as well, but like Bakar last year, sub 375 ERA is a long guy. I like the pickup of Pete Fairbanks, even though he hasn't necessarily been too effective to begin the season. Andrew Renardi, guys like this, Calvin Fauché, I think are going to be able to give you some good innings moving forward, and for the Miami Marlins, not necessarily a team that's going to hit the deep ball, just a lot of guys find a way to move the line. Like, you've got Xavier Edwards right now hitting well above a 300. Your main home run hitter has been Liam Hicks, 4 home runs, 20 plus RBI, hitting well above 300. Owen Casey has gone into a little bit of a funk. I think that he can bust out of that, but also getting back Kyle Stowers. He is probably your top home run hitter, along with Gustin Ramirez, who last year had 20 plus home runs. Also need Jacob Marcy to pick it up, hitting well below 200. Flip side for the St. Louis Cardinals, this offense has been a revelation. Jordan Walker, 8 plus home runs, hitting darn near 300. He's been great. Team is averaging 5.6 runs per game away from home. That is a top 6 mark in all baseball, even with guys like Pedro Baez, Nate Church, not necessarily doing a lot. Nolan Gorman, throw him in there as well. But hey, Alec Burleson, 360 on base. Von Herrera, along J.J. Weatherall, not impressive averages, but both give you above a 350 on base. Victor Scott has done an okay job moving the line. He's went a little bit cold recently, but I do think that Lee going to give up some runs here. And for Jansen Junk, is he going to get a lot of strikeouts? No, right around about 6.2 strikeouts per 9 innings last year, but didn't hurt himself. 0.7 home runs, 1.1 walks per 9 innings, 314 fielding dependent. This year, 450 ERA, but a 390 fielding dependent, 0.8 home runs, 2.5 walks per 9 innings. So set the Marlins at a minus 148, willing to lay up to a minus 147 on the money line, and like that over. Semi-total at 8.7, 953, 954 on the card. It is the Atlanta Braves. They're going to be on the road facing off against the Washington Nationals. Zach Littell is on the bum for the Nats, and Martin Perez is on the bum for the Braves. Our Braves do find themselves as a favorite between minus 138 to a minus 149. Plus 118 to a plus 125 is that number on Washington. 9 is the total. Over is anywhere between minus 105 to a minus 110. Under is between minus 110 to a minus 115. And I'm in on the Bravos. Set them at a minus 157. Martin Perez seems to get off to really hot starts year in and year out. Now, I do think that there's going to be a little bit of regression with this hot start. He's really not getting a lot of strikeouts whatsoever. He's posting up a 221 ERA, but 397 fielding dependent. By that, I mean 4.4 strikeouts per 9 innings. His career mark is 6.3 strikeouts per 9 innings, so he's way below that, gives up quite a bit of contact. Meanwhile, Zach Littell, he doesn't just give up contact, he gives up hard contact. He was very lucky to have a ERA of a 381 last year, 48 fielding dependent, gave up 1.7 home runs per 9 innings. This season, 7.11 ERA, so he's always giving up runs. 7 home runs and 19 innings allowed. That is 3.3 home runs per 9 innings, and now he faces off against an Atlanta Braves lineup that entered into yesterday, second in the big leagues in terms of runs per game. These guys have been able to find it. Recognize that for Ozzie Albies, he has been a little bit up and down throughout his career, but he's looking good this year. 4 plus home runs, hitting over a 270. Heck, Ronald Acuna Jr. hasn't even given you a ton. It's been Drake Baldwin give you 5 plus bombs, hitting for over a 350 on base. Matt Olson over a 350 on base. He's up to 6 home runs. Guys like Dom Smith have been able to do a nice job. You have been able to get really good production as well as Mauricio Dubon, so love to see that. And for the Nationals, this is a top 5 team in terms of run creation as well. CJ Abrams, James Wood, these guys have really been clubbing the ball here. For Wood last year, 30 plus home runs, over a 350 on base right now. Abrams is giving you over a 400 on base with 6 home runs. Something like a Jacob Young isn't necessarily a home run hitter, but moves the line. You've got a young infielder and Jobert Vivas, who's like 25 years old. Again, not necessarily much of a power hitter, but he's finding a way on. And for the Atlanta Braves, they do have by far the better bullpen in this ordeal. They did put Raciel Iglesias on the injured list. That hurts them a little bit, but still, Robert Suarez is able to be a good closer. Was that for the San Diego Padres last year? Tyler Kinley, since coming over from the Colorado Rockies, sub 250 ERA. Dylan Lee, Aaron Bummer. These guys have not been bummers. And on the flip side for the Washington Nationals, entire bullpen is a bummer. Last year, north of a 5 ERA. They're relying upon Dickie Lovelady to be a good reliever for them. Cionel Perez, Clayton Beater, over 4 ERAs last season. Brad Lord's a good long guy, but you can only use him like once every 3 or so days. So that's a little bit of an issue, and I think that the Braves get their offense going against Littell. Total I set was a 9.7, so at the 9, I like the over. For the Braves, I set them at a minus 157 on the money line. If you're looking to lay a run half, right now you're getting plus 115 to plus 125. You're going to take that plus money on the run line. 955, 956 on the card. It's the Philadelphia Phillies. They're going to be on the road against the Chicago Cubs. We do know that Matthew Boyd is going to be on the bump for the Cubs. As I am recording this, the betting board reads to be determined. We've seen one opener in this game. Right now, I'm seeing the Cubs right around about a minus 148 or so on the money line. And then for the Philadelphia Phillies, take back is more around about a plus 125 to a plus 130. No total listed up on this game. This should be Taijuan Walker. And if it's Taijuan Walker, I'd be willing to lay up to minus 148 with the Cubs on the money line. If it's not Taijuan Walker, probably a little bit of an upgrade for the Phillies, but in that case, you're probably going to be looking at a little bit of a wholesale approach. And honestly, if it's a wholesale approach, that's better than Taijuan Walker. Like, man, guy last year was giving up over 1.5 home runs per 9 innings. He was lucky to have the ERA that he did. Like, pretty much almost anything over Taijuan Walker is an upgrade at this point. A 9.16 ERA, 7.36 fielding dependent. This guy just should not be seeing a big league mound right now. And for Matthew Boyd, he has been throughout his Cubs career very solid. We saw a dip in his swing and miss stuff last year to about 7.7 strikeouts per 9 innings, but 1 home run, 2.5 walks per 9 innings, made 2 starts to begin the season before they placed him on the injured list, had a 185 fielding dependent with a 6.75 ERA. So yeah, that was interesting to say the least. And he now gets a face off against the Philadelphia Phillies lineup that they entered into Tuesday dead last in the National League in terms of run creation away from home. They're not going to be that when it's all said and done. And Bryce Harper has been solid. He's been able to give you over 350 on base. He's been seeing his power numbers come back. He's up to 4 home runs. Kyle Schwarber's not hitting for average, but he is still able to give you over a 350 on base, 7 home runs. But these guys like Adolis Garcia, Alec Bohm, Bryson Stott, they have really been struggling right now. And for the Chicago Cubs, they've got their fair share of struggles in the lineup as well. Michael Busch, Dansby Swanson, both hitting below the Mendoza line 200 for Swanson. He has been able to give you 5 home runs. Pete Armstrong is now hitting in the 9 hole. Like, he has not gotten on base whatsoever. Alex Bregman, perennially a slow starter, but the entire catcher spot, Carson Kelly, Moises Ballesteros, Miguel Amaya, these guys are all give you over 350 on base. Nico Horner is moved line. Now for the Cubs, they are dealing with some ailments in that bullpen, so they might be looking to utilize someone like a Brem Brown as a long guy in this one because they're going to need to use someone as a long guy because Boyd probably going to be on a little bit of an innings restriction here. Jacob Webb is a relatively good reliever for the team. Caleb Thielbar coming off a career year last year, but he's now 39 years old, so have to have a little bit of question mark here. And obviously, when it comes to Wrigley Field, you have to be taking into account the wind. It's going to be blowing in to begin the game. It's going to be probably a little bit more directional towards back half of the game, and it's only about 5 or so miles per hour, so it's not going to be like torrential winds or anything like that. It's nothing major. So as a result, if you do get Walker versus Boyd, 8.5 or less, going to be looking at the over, 9 or higher the under, with Boyd and the Cubs minus 148 or better, looking at that money line plus 150 or better, looking at the Phillies again. Pretty much anyone not named Taijuan Walker will indeed be an upgrade for the Philadelphia Phillies. 957, 958 on the card. The Rockies are going to be playing us to the Slam Diego Padres as Walker Buehler is on the bump for the Padres, and it's looking like Tomoyuki Sugano is going for the Rockies. Right now we're seeing a total of 12 over and under both at minus 110, minus 155 to minus 165. That number on the Padres, plus 142, plus 142. That number on the Rockies. And if you're looking to lay run half with the San Diego Padres, that is currently minus 110. Would be willing to go up to a minus 115 on that run line. Walker Buehler was just absolutely miserable last year. He was posting up an ERA of a 5, and his fielding independent was even worse as he was only getting about 6.5 strikeouts per 9 innings, 4.4 walks per 9 innings, but he's looked a little bit better here this year. He's not back to being the Walker Buehler that we all know and love, but 4.58 ERA, 3.02 fielding independent. He's got 9.2 strikeouts and 0.5 home runs allowed per 9 innings, so that is a really good sign of just things getting back in the right direction in general as he's dealt with a lot of injuries. And then on the flip side for Sugano, he last season was just giving up a lot of contact in general, 4.64 ERA, 6.1 strikeouts per 9 innings, 1.9 home runs allowed per 9 innings. It's always been good with the command. He only gives up about 2.1 to 2.2 walks per 9 innings, but now in Coors, 3.92 ERA, but a 5.55 fielding independent, giving up 2.2 home runs per 9 innings. That's an issue. Now, what has been an issue for the Padres is that their big hitters have yet to really be able to step up. Fernando Tatis Jr. entered into yesterday with 0 home runs. You've had Manny Machado hit a pair of bombs, but he's been hitting below the middle sign of 200. Xander Bogaerts has actually not been a waste of money this year. That's been good for them. Ramon Laureano is giving you 4 home runs, about a 275 average. Miguel Andujar in a limited sample size is moving line, but Nick Castellanos, Jake Cronenworth, you're going to need more out of these guys. And for the Rockies, this lineup of young guys has actually been solid. TJ Romfield hitting above a 250. He's cooled off a little bit, but still has been a nice start to the season. Mickey Moniak is hitting at 275. He's up to 6 home runs. Hunter Goodman is building off of that nice 2025 season. Troy Johnson has been able to move the line and give you a few home runs as well. And for the Rockies, this is actually a much improved bullpen as well. They're currently in the top 10 in terms of bullpen ERA. Got a lot of guys from last year like Jaden Hill, Victor Vodnik, Jimmy Harrigan, who was the opener yesterday that supplied a sub 4.25 ERA. Juan Mejia is another one of those guys. They picked up Brandon Bernardino in the offseason. And for the Padres, last year they were number 1 in terms of bullpen ERA. They're dealing with some ailments. They're having Jeremiah Estrada currently on the injured list, and they no longer have Robert Suarez, but Mason Miller has been an incredible closer. Audrey Morahone, after a rough start to the season, seems to be finding it. I like Jason Adam as well, and I do think the people are going to give you the better start, and I do think that Sugano could be exactly what the Padres need to get online with this offense. It's up by total 11.6. 12 is just too high for me. I'm in on the under, and with the Padres, we'll lay up to minus 115 on that run line. 959, 960 on the card. The Dodgers are on the road against the Giants. Tyler Mahle goes for the Giants, and Shohei Ohtani is on the bump for the Dodgers. Dodgers Mondo favorites here between minus 195 to minus 225, plus 163 to a plus 188 is that number on San Francisco with a total of 7.5. Over is minus 115 to minus 120. Under is between even a minus 105. Look at a lay run half with the Dodgers. Most places have this as a minus 115. That'd be my absolute max lay on the run line with the Dodgers. I set mine at a minus 116, but I would be willing to lay that run line. Everyone talks about Shohei Ohtani, the hitter, and very rightfully so. Last year, 40-plus home runs. He's been able to just absolutely dominate the league with that regard. But look at what he's done from a pitching perspective ever since he got to the Los Angeles Dodgers. 17 starts. Obviously, some of those starts were very, very short starts last season, but 2.22 ERA, 2.01 fielding dependence, 0.4 home runs, 11.1 strikeouts, and 2.1 walks per 9 innings. That is dominance right there. And then you've got Tyler Mahle on the flip side, who, last season he did a great job keeping things out in front of him, half a home run, 7 strikeouts per 9 innings, but he was in one of the most pitcher-friendly environments in all of baseball in Texas, and since coming on over to San Francisco, which, again, very pitcher-friendly environment, he has struggled big time. Right now, 7.23 ERA, 6.99 fielding dependent, 2.9 home runs, 5.8 walks per 9 innings. The strikeout stuff is up a little bit, but he has to go up against an LA Dodgers team that entered in the series averaging over 7 runs per game away from home, numero uno in all of baseball. I know that they've dealt with a few ailments, Mookie Betts being out, but Betts hasn't been himself since the early part of the 2025 season. That's honestly not too much of a loss. You've got Max Muncy, Dalton Rushing combining for 15 home runs entering into yesterday, rushing with 7 home runs at 27 at-bats. Just absolutely insane there. Sung Kim, who's been filling in the infield, has been hitting above a 300. Shohei Ohtani, he may not hit in this game because we noticed that he didn't in the Dodgers' last start that he had him out there on the mound, but if you do get him, he's been able to give you over a 375 on base, 5 home runs, and even if you don't have him, they're just going to call up another all-star. That's just what they do. Kyle Tucker starting to find it a little bit as well, and for the Giants, they really haven't found it with their offense. Luis Arias is finding a way on. He's hitting a 300. Matt Chapman, not a lot of power, but at the very least, he's been hitting above a 275 after rough starts of the season. Jungle Lee, Eloy Ramos in the outfield have been a bit more respectable, but there's just no boom with this team. Rafael Devers hitting at 225 with 2 home runs entering into yesterday. William Adames has 3 home runs, and he's been better than he was a season ago, but you just need a little bit more there. And for the Giants last year, they were number 4 in the big leagues in terms of bullpen ERA. You've honestly had Caleb Killian be really good for the team. Eric Miller last year, sub 2 ERA. That has gone northward. Ryan Baruchi is a guy that you can't trust in. Do like Matt Gage, but Ryan Walker back to having a 4 ERA just like a season ago. And for the LA Dodgers, Tanner Scott had a down year last year. 2 years ago, he's one of the better relievers in all baseball. He now becomes a closer with Edwin Diaz being on the injured list, and he'll do a fine job. Jack Dreher, Alex Vesia, sub 325 ERAs out of both of those guys. Edgardo Enriquez is a young guy that I think has a little bit of upside as well. So this is a circumstance where with the LA Dodgers, I am going to be willing to lay up to a minus 115 on the run line. I think that they get the over because they get to Mahle. Set my total at a 7.9. 961, 962 on the card. The Astros are on the road against the Cleveland Guardians. Tanner Bybee goes for the Gardos, and Peter Lambert goes for the Houston Astros. Astros do find themselves as underdogs between plus 110 to a plus 120, minus 130 to a minus 145 is that number on Cleveland. 8 is the total. Over and under between minus 105 to a minus 115, and with the Guardians. I set them at a money line price of a minus 149. Now, Tanner Bybee has had his struggles thus far this season, but if you look at him throughout his career, he's always been a much better pitcher when he has been at home rather than away from home. Back in the 2025 season, 3.22 ERA, 0.8 home runs allowed per 9 innings at home, 5.17 ERA, 1.8 home runs allowed per 9 innings away from home. And right now, this Astros entire pitching staff is in shambles. 29th in terms of bullpen ERA going to yesterday with a 5.66 ERA. Now you have to trot out there Peter Lambert, who has a lifetime 6.30 ERA, albeit he pitched for most of his career out there in Colorado, but 1.6 home runs, 3.5 walks allowed per 9 innings, and he allowed 4 runs in 5 innings in his first start as a Houston Astro. This is just a guy that probably should not be towing a big league mound right now. And for the Cleveland Guardians, yes, it is a little bit of a rough lineup. Chase Salata had the 5 home runs to begin the season, but he has been seeing a downward tick with that regard. You've got Steven Kwan, who's at the top, only hitting about a 225, but Jose Ramirez, after a slow start to the season, 6+ home runs, over a 350 on base. You've been able to have Daniel Sheeman actually hit above a 300 for the team. That's been nice. Now, you need more out of Bo Naylor, hitting below the middle side of 200. It's a strange world when Austin Hedges is right now your better hitting catcher, but that's where we are. And Kyle Manzardo has been a disappointment as well. And for the Astros, lineup has been no issue whatsoever. Top 5 team in terms of runs per game. Carlos Correa may never be what he quite was prior to leaving Houston, but he's back up above a 360 on base. Christian Walker, 4+ home runs, over a 350 on base. Jose Altuve, over a 375 on base. Yordan Alvarez, 10 home runs, over a 440 on base. So, I mean, these guys have all been solid. Cam Smith at the bottom lineup has been able to step up, but there is nobody that you can trust in this Astros bullpen. Josh Hader's on the injured list, same with Bennett Sosa. So, Aniel De Los Santos has been okay. AJ Bluebot over a 70 ERA. Brian Abreu has been absolutely awful thus far this season. Their long guy in Kai Wei Tang had to use him up yesterday, and for the Guardians, they have taken a step back with their bullpen thus far this season, but now you get Hunter Gaddis off the injured list. Sean Armstrong, Kate Smith, they have been shaky to begin the season. I do think that they find it a little bit more. Eric Zabrowski, career sub-3 ERA, he should be able to help hold it down as well. So, circumstance where I do think that the Guardians do get to Lambert, get the job done here. Semi-total at an 8.8, like the over, and with Guardians, 1 to lay up down, minus 148 on the money line. 963, 964 on the card. The Royals are going to be playing against the Orioles. Chris Bassett has the hook, line, and sinker for the O's, and you've got one Mr. Michael Waka, and if he has a bad start, it's the dying Pac-Man voice of Michael Waka 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 Waka, going for the Royals. Royals are our favorites here, seeing them as low as a minus 124, as high as a minus 131, plus 105 to plus 110 is that number on the Orioles. 9 is the total, over is minus 115, under is minus 105, and I do like the over. I set my total at a 9.2. I do think that Michael Waka is due for regression. He's got a 1 ERA right now. Now, he's doing a good job in terms of not hurting himself. He's giving up 0.7 home runs per 9 innings, about 2.7 walks per 9 innings. He's also not some sort of a strikeout artist here or anything like that, only about 7.7 strikeouts per 9 innings, 6.7 strikeouts per 9 innings a season ago, but I'm just down on Chris Bassett right now, like holy crud. 6.19 ERA. If you look at the strikeout to walk ratio, you're not going to see this very often. 0.64. Yeah, he has gotten 6.2 walks per 9 innings and 3.9 strikeouts per 9 innings. That's not great to say the least. He's actually kept the ball in the yard relatively good, and it's a Royals lineup that is really not getting anything going whatsoever. 29th out of 30 teams in terms of run creation, have been averaging closer to about 4.2 runs per game at home this season. They did move the fences in at Kauffman Stadium, but even that hasn't really helped them out a ton. And for the Royals, Bobby Witt Jr. has been doing a great job getting on base, but he can't drive himself in because he's hit 0 home runs this far this season, so they're going to need to get a little bit more there. You've actually had Carter Jensen be able to pick it up. He's up to 4 home runs. He's hitting at 250. Jack Aguileon, not a ton of power, but he's able to move the line, but likes of Isaac Collins, Vinny Pasquantino, Salvador Perez, Michael Massey, so many guys hitting below 200, and Perez and Pasquantino, both below a 250 on base, just not providing power. That's an issue, and for the Orioles, this has been a team that has had their issues hitting away from home as well. Going into yesterday, about 3.6 runs per game away from home. You have to feel like Pete Alonso is going to be able to pick it up a little bit. It's been a miserable start to the season for him, hitting right around about a 200, 2 or 3 home runs. You've had, though, Jeremiah Jackson hit 5 home runs over the last 14 days. He's hitting a 300. You've been able to have Taylor Ward be able to do a nice job finding way on base, over a 375 on base. Kobe Mayo, Samuel Basayo, they haven't given you a ton. Weston Wilson has actually been okay for this team, and for the Orioles, it's a little bit of an improved bullpen from what we've seen in the past. Yanier Cano is looking like the guy that was so good like 3 or 4 years ago. Rico Garcia has been good, and Ryan Helsley is starting to be able to have a little bit of a throwback to where he was with the St. Louis Cardinals. Still just tons of injuries, so and that also hurts the defense. Jackson Holiday, Jordan Westberg, guys like this being out really hurts them. And for the Kansas City Royals, they entered into Tuesday dead last in the big leagues in terms of bullpen ERA, north of a 6. This is going to improve for them. I recognize that they lose guys like Anel Zerpa and company in the offseason, but Nick Mears was really good last season with the Brewers. Daniel Lynch is a nice long guy. Lucas Hurtsage, he's got to stop walking, guys, but he's got a lot of potential. Matt Strahm, sub-4 ERA last year with the Philadelphia Phillies, but I do think that for both of these offenses, they see a little bit of an uptick, and I just don't trust in Chris Bassett. So my money line price at a -138 will delay up to a -137 with the Royals, and like the 9 over, semi-total at a 9.2, 965, 966 on the card. The Blue Jays are going to be on the road against the Angels. Jose Soriano is on the bump for the Halos, and Eric Lauer goes for the Blue Jays. Blue Jays, sizable underdogs here between +128 to a +135, -145 to -155. That number on Los Angeles, 8.5 to 8 is the total on the 8. Over is -120. The under is even on the 8.5. Under is -120. The over is even. And with the Angels, set them at a -153 on the money line. I would rather take a chalkier money line rather than a run line, as I think that this is going to be a lower scoring game. I set my total at 7.9, so I'm in on the under. I fully recognize that Eric Lauer has not had the start to the season that he was hoping for. A 7.13 ERA coupled with a 5.96 fielding dependent, 2 home runs, 5.1 walks per 9 innings. But still, I do think that he's going to be somewhere between A and B. Where he is right now is not where he's going to end up. Probably doesn't get back to where he was last season when he had a 3.18 ERA with about 8.8 strikeouts, 2.2 walks per 9 innings. But I do think that he's going to be able to improve quite significantly. And for the Blue Jays, it is a bullpen that has had some struggles. Jeff Hoffman, other than the postseason last year, just has not been amazing for this team. You've got Brandon Little's come up very little with north of a 10 ERA. Mason Flaherty has been an issue, but they're starting to be able to get it going with Braden Fisher, Tyler Rogers, Louis Varland. These guys have been relatively solid. And for the LA Angels, for the longest time, this has been one of the worst bullpens in all of baseball, but Jay Silseth, a sub-350 ERA. Drew Pomeranz has been able to show a little bit of promise in that bullpen. Ryan Zefrian is still a guy that I don't really trust in, but for the LA Angels, massive strides forward with that bullpen. They're right now checking in terms of bullpen ERA more around about 20th at 4.57 with regards to that ERA. Not amazing, but it's improvement from where they were a season ago. And the Angels have actually had some issues being able to hit at home. Right now, they're averaging just 3.2 runs per game going into the day on Tuesday, but they've had Joe Adell setting fire to the rain, hitting over a 290. He's been able to give you 3 home runs and 3 home run robberies in one game as well, so that's always helpful for the Angels. You had Mike Trout have the 4 home runs in the 4-game series against the New York Yankees. Not necessarily hitting for the world's highest amount of average, but it was giving you over a 375 on base. Zach Neto has been able to give you 5 home runs, hitting about a 250. Nolan Schunel has been a little bit shakier to start the season, but have to figure that he's going to get online, and now you've got Bryce Soler back from suspension. And then for the Blue Jays, perhaps that 10-run game is going to be able to get them online a little bit more against the Diamondbacks on Sunday, and Eloy Jimenez has been able to give you a little bit of something. Welcome back here for Vlad Guerrero Jr. Power's down, but he's still giving you over 400 on base. AC Sanchez is moving line, hitting about a 250. They are dealing with injuries with George Springer, Edison Barger currently being on the injured list. Don't call his name. Alexander Kirk is as well. Andres Jimenez has been a little bit better, but Kazuma Okamoto has not necessarily been what they were hoping for, so they've been a little bit shaky in the lineup. They've been in the bottom half of the big leagues in terms of run scoring. And how about Jose Soriano, ladies and gentlemen? He has made 5 starts thus far this season, and he's allowed 1 run in 32 2/3 innings. He's allowed 11 hits, still does have the walks issue, well over 3 walks per 9 innings, but guy has been absolutely electric. So I did set a total here of a 7.9. I'm going to be on the under, and up to a -152 is what I'm going to lay on that money line. 967, 968 on the card. The Athletics are on the road against the Mariners as Aaron Savali is on the bump for the A's. Logan Gilbert is going for the Seattle Mariners. For the A's, they are between +153 to +168 underdogs. -186 to -$2 is that number on Seattle. 7.5 is the total. Over and under both at -110. And for the A's, I did set them at a +196. If you're looking to lay a run half right now with Seattle, that's currently about +110 to a +120. I always won't take anything above a +105. And for Logan Gilbert, he has always been at his best when he's been at home. It's been a strikeout artist that sometimes gets hurt a little bit by the deep ball. Last year was given up in that neighborhood of 1.3 to 1.4 home runs per 9 innings, but again, does a much better job when he is at home thus far this season. 4.03 ERA, 289 fielding dependent, 9.9 strikeouts, 1.6 walks per 9 innings, allowing less than a home run per 9 innings, so he's definitely doing for some positivity. Again, last season, he was supposed to get up 224 home ERA, 474 ERA away from home, and at home, about 1 home run allowed per 9 innings, over 1.5 home runs per 9 innings away from home. And for Aaron Civale, got off to a nice start to the season. He was producing relatively well for the team, and then had a little bit of a pitfall in his last start. 354 ERA, 387 fielding dependent, not a lot in the deep ball, 0.9 home runs, 2.7 walks per 9 innings, not a strikeout, so 7.1 strikeouts per 9, and it does feel like the Mariners are starting to find it a little bit more on offense. They've actually been significantly better at home rather than away from home. Ironic, because Seattle, especially this time of year, is typically the most pitcher-friendly ballpark that you're going to find in all of baseball. Big dumper Cal Raleigh is back up to 3 home runs, but he, along Josh Naylor, both hitting below the Mendoza line of 200. J.P. Crawford has been rough. Julio Rodriguez just never gets off to a good start to the season, so that's been an issue, but Luke Raley has been able to give you 4+ home runs, hitting darn near 300. You've been able to get some relatively good production, as well as Randy Arozarena with over a 375 on base. Flip side for the Athletics, Shea Langoliers, well, Shea is banged for 7 home runs, hitting above 300 thus far, and you've been able to get a little bit more out of some of the ancillary guys. You're not getting any power out of Jeff McNeil, but he's moved line hitting above a 260. Lawrence Butler needs to pick it up a little bit, but now they're getting Zach Goff off the injured list. Carlos Cortez, 3 home runs, hitting over 300, and you know that the likes of Nick Kurtz, Tyler Soderstrom are going to be able to pick it up. Have to have a lot of trepidation with this Athletics bullpen, though, like Justin Sterner, along with Hogan Harris, are guys that had about a 4 ERA last season. Jack Perkins has never really been great, and Mark Leiter Jr., Scott Barlow, these guys were just washed. For the Seattle Mariners, Andres Munoz has not been what we expected in the bullpen thus far, but I think he'll pick it up when at full force. He and Matt Brash are one of the best 8th and 9th inning duos in all of baseball. Gabe Spire, Edward Brizardo last year had a sub-3 ERA, so I do think that for the Mariners, they're going to be able to get some good pitching here, and Seattle, just a very pitcher-friendly ballpark this time of year, did semi-total of 7.3. I like the under, and for the Mariners, plus 105 or better, going to be looking at that roll 9, 969, 970 on the card. The Yankees are on the road against the Red Sox. Rangers Suarez is on the bump for the Red Sox, and Max Fried goes for the Yankees. The Yankees do find themselves as between minus 135 to minus 152 favorites, plus 113 to plus 128 is that number on Boston. 7.5 to 8 is the total. 7.5 has over juice of minus 120. The under is even on the 8. The under is minus 120, and the over is even for the Yankees. I did set their money line price here at a minus 136, so minus 135 is my absolute max lay with them, but I'm willing to go in on it. Max Fried has a ERA that is sub-3 once again this year. He got off to such a dynamic start last season, and he's maybe not quite where he was a season ago because the strikeout stuff is down, 6.2 strikeouts per 9 innings, but 2.2 walks, 0.3 home runs per 9 innings, so he's been able to do a great job on that front. And then you take a look at the flip side for Ranger Suarez, and he's been able to do a very rock-solid job in terms of being able to keep the ball in the yard over the last few seasons. Ever since the COVID year of 2020, he has given up less than 1 home run per 9 innings in every single season. He's not getting a lot of strikeouts up. 6 strikeouts per 9 innings, 3.22 ERA, 376 fielding dependent for the Yankees. They entered into Tuesday in the top 10 in the big leagues in terms of run scoring with 5 runs per game, but keep in mind, last year they led the big leagues with about 5.2 runs per game. I feel like there's a little bit more positivity coming for this lineup moving forward, as they've had a few struggles and they can be a little bit all or nothing, but Ben Rice, he's been able to supply 7+ home runs. He's giving you over a 450 on base. Aaron Judge, he's supplying the boom, 8+ home runs. He just doesn't have the same on base that he's had in the past, but John Carlos Stanton, Cody Bellinger, these guys have found a way on. It's really about the infielders. Like Jazz Chisholm has been hitting below the Mendoza line of 200. You've gotten nothing out of the likes of Ryan McMahon and company, so they need a bit more there, and Red Sox just look lifeless right now because you've got guys getting on base. Cedon Rafaela, Wilson Contreras, both hitting at 275 with Contreras over a 400 on base, about 4 home runs. Tyler Abreu over a 340 on base. He's been able to give you a trio of bombs. Masataka Yoshida moves the line. Recognize Roman Anthony's not hitting for a ton of average, but still over a 350 on base. You've had Marcelo Meyer, Caleb Durbin just give you absolutely nothing in the infield along Trevor Story, though, and for the Red Sox last year, they were a very dominant bullpen. They were second in terms of ERA. We've seen them take a few steps back. You've had Danny Kalum come in after he had a sub-3 ERA a season ago with a few different stops, and he's been about that here for the Red Sox. Here at Woodlock, Greg Weiser, they had a sub-350 ERA, and Aroldis Chapman has been the best closer in all baseball since getting to Boston, but they're now slightly above average with their bullpen ERA, whereas last year they were dominant. And for the Yankees, they've had their struggles in the bullpen as well. Camilo Udval, David Bednar were nice pieces picked up at the trade deadline. Tim Hill, Fernando Cruz, Brent Hedrick, they all supplied a sub-325 ERA last season, and Hedrick has been really good in this bullpen, but That said, you've had some shakiness with regards to what we've been seeing out of Camilo Doval recently, and for this Yankees bunch, I do think that they are going to do a nice job in terms of getting to Suarez, and I do think that for the Red Sox, we see some positivity with this lineup as well. Somebody tell it at 8.1 at the 7.5, like the over, and with the Yankees willing to lay up to a minus 135 on that money line. 971, 972 on the card. It is the Reds. Yes, we're on to Cincinnati. They're onto the road facing off against the Tampa Bay Rays, as Nick Martinez goes for the Rays, Brandon Williamson goes for the Reds. The Reds do find themselves as a pretty small underdog here. You're going to be grabbing them anywhere between about a plus 108 to a plus 120. Meanwhile, between minus 126 to a minus 145 is that number on Tampa Bay. 8 is the total. The under is between minus 115 to even money. Meanwhile, the over is between minus 105 to a minus 120. And for the Rays, I did set their money line price here at a minus 159. I'm going to be willing to lay it. Brandon Williamson doesn't have the world's worst ERA to begin the season, but I do think that there's going to be quite a bit of regression here. He missed the entire 2025 season due to injury. 5.35 ERA thus far in 2026, but a 6.01 fielding dependent. He's getting more walks and strikeouts. 5.7 walks per 9 innings, 5.2 strikeouts per 9. You get to face off against a Rays lineup that is averaging over 4.7 runs per game. Junior Caminero last season was supplying for the team 44 home runs, and he might not quite get there again this season, but he's starting to heat up over a 345 on base. Jonathan Aranda last year hit for over a 300. He's been a little bit down this season, but Yandy Diaz has not been hitting above a 300. He's been able to give the team 4+ home runs along with Aranda. You've had Johnny DeLuca hit above a 250. They've had so many issues at the catcher spot. Now Nick Fortes is hitting a 300, and if he could get anything out of Cedric Mullins, who's been miserable to start this season, that's big. Oh yeah, Chandler Simpson, one of the better base stealers in all baseball. He's hitting above a 300 as well. Meanwhile, for the Reds, entered in this series in the bottom 5 of the big leagues in terms of run scoring. They've picked it up a little bit more here as Cabrian Hayes, who's been miserable, hitting a 0.88. He finally went deep yesterday. You've had some good production out of Dave Myers. He's been able to hit above a 265. Finally went deep for his first home run yesterday. And Spencer Steer's been able to give you 4 home runs, but again, he's hitting for less than a 300 on base. It's been all about Sal Stewart, Ellie De La Cruz, and also Eugenio Suarez. Suarez 49 home runs last season, about a 315 on base. Stewart has given you over 4 on base, 5+ home runs out of he and Ellie De La Cruz. So that's been helpful. And for the Reds, whether they do really have a big advantage is in the bullpen. They're a top 5 team in terms of bullpen ERA. As a matter of fact, number 1 in terms of bullpen ERA, Pierce Johnson, Brock and Roll Burke. They come in after having sub 3.25 ERAs at their respective spots last season. Don't trust in Emilio Pagan, but Tony Santillan, Graham Ashcraft, these guys have been very good in the bullpen to begin the season. And for the Tampa Bay Rays, Griffin Jacks, he does get all sorts of jacked up. He is not great to say the least. Edwin Uceta, Garrett Clevenger, they're currently on the injured list. Kevin Kelly has an ERA that's well above a 5. Cole Sulzer, Brian Baker, the former Orioles, have been a little bit shaky to say the least. So do think that you're going to get runs in this game, especially with the guy Nick Martinez, who actually pitched for the Reds last season. So there's going to be a little bit of familiarity there. He's just not a strikeout guy. Last year, 6.2 strikeouts per 9 innings, 5.7 this year. Nice 2.45 ERA. Fielding dependent is more than a full point higher because he doesn't get a lot of reception. So like the over, sub, I tell it at 8.1. And for the Rays, willing to lay up to a minus 158 on that money line. 973, 974 on the card. The Brewers are on the road against the Tigers, as you've got Casey Mize on the bump for the Tigers, and Chad Patrick is on the bump for the Brewers. The Brewers do find themselves as a little bit of an underdog here between plus 110 to a plus 115. Meanwhile, minus 130 to minus 136. That number on Detroit. 8 is the total. Under is minus 115. The over is minus 105 on the 7.5. Over is minus 125, and the under is plus 105. And when it comes to the Tigers, I'm willing to lay up to a minus 134 on that money line for Casey Mize. He last year was posting up right around about a 3.89 ERA, 1.3 home runs allowed per 9 innings, and he's once again been not great, not terrible. Looked very good in his last start against Boston Red Sox to get his ERA down below a 2.78, 3.13 fielding dependent. He's up to 10 strikeouts per 9 innings. He missed the entire 2023 season due to injury. His strikeout stuff has been increasing with every single year, and now he does get to face off against a Brewers lineup that last year was a top 5 team in terms of run scoring. They've still been in the upper half of the big leagues this season, but they are dealing with all sorts of injuries. I have no idea how they're doing it right now. Jake Bauers along with Gary Sanchez, 5+ home runs apiece. You've got William Contreras, who's given you over a 380 on base. Bryce Terang has given you over 4 on base. Garrett Mitchell sitting for over a 4 on base. They have like no power whatsoever, but they just keep finding a way to move the line. I do think that might be running a little bit dry here in this series, and when it comes to the Tigers, Kevin McGonigal hitting well above a 300. Riley Green is moving the line with a 380 on base. They just don't have power. Spencer Torkelson is still stuck on 0 home runs, hitting below the middle line of 200. You just have not been able to get a ton out of Matt Vierling, who's been giving you less than a 275 on base. Jahmai Jones, he's not really giving you a ton here as well, but you do have Avi Baez, who's hitting for above a 275. And for the Tigers, bullpen has been a little bit up and down ever since Bullpen Madness in 2024, but that's a Tyler Holton, Brian Herter, Will Vest all provided a sub 325 ERA last season. Kyle Kyle Finnegan since coming over from the Nationals, a sub-3 ERA. Do not trust in Kenley Jansen whatsoever. And then on the Milwaukee Brewers side of things, bullpen has been very shaky this year. Trevor McGill, well above a 5 ERA. Abner Uribe has not been what he was last season. Grant Anderson was able to supply a sub-350 ERA last year with Aaron Ashby. These guys have been solid, and D.L. Turner Paul has been a pretty good long guy for the team as well, but I do think that in this case, you're going to be able to get a little bit more out of Mize rather than Chad Patrick, who he last year posted up an ERA that was right in that neighborhood about a 3.53 with a similar 3.53 fielding dependent. He's just getting no strikeouts right now. 0.9 ERA, but that said, 3.97 fielding dependent, 4.3 strikeouts to 3.3 walks per 9 innings. It's actually a marvel how he's got a sub-1 ERA right now, so I do think that the Tigers get to him a little bit, but keep in mind, cooler temperatures out there in the Midwest. I do think that the Brewers are due for some regression with their offense, so my total is 7.6. I like the under. And for the Tigers, willing to lay up to a minus 134 on the money line. 975, 976 on the card. It's the Twins. They are going to be on the road against the New York Mets. We do know that Clay Holmes is going to be on the bump for the Mets, and it is right now old to be determined who's going to be on the bump for the Minnesota Twins, so this game's off the board. I did as much digging as I could, and I right now project Kenry Rojas will be pitching in some form or capacity. He's currently on the 26-man roster for the Twins. He, going into last night, had never pitched in a major league game, and by trade, he was a starter at the minor league level last year, so I'm thinking we see him in some form or capacity. It could be as a bulk guy, it could be as the actual starter, but I think we see a lot of him. And last season, in 4 different levels of minor league baseball, posted up a 4.70 ERA. He's a young 23-year-old, and he's got good strikeout stuff. 11.7 strikeouts per 9 innings, was wild with it, over 4 walks per 9 innings last year. A small sample size at the minor league level this year, 4.9 walks per 9 innings, and it's going to be all hands on deck here for the Minnesota Twins. You have to figure that they are going to be going to every single long guy that they've got on the roster. They've got a few other guys that by nature are starters, like an Andrew Morris. He's probably going to be seeing a few innings, and just a Twins bullpen that's really not good. Anthony Bondo got used yesterday. That actually helps him out because he has been terrible thus far this season. Taylor Rogers, Eric Orze, these are guys that posted up a sub-325 ERA last season, but now you've got Cody Funderburk currently on the paternity list. Justin Topa had like a 4 ERA last season, and I do think that there's regression coming for this Minnesota Twins lineup. You entered into yesterday with a quartet of guys hitting for 3 home runs. Josh Bell, Matt Wallner, Brooks Lee, along with Byron Buxton. Buxton, after a rough start to the season, has picked it up, but Lee, along with Wallner, both sub-290 on bases. Josh Bell has made a move line relatively nice, but Lucas Shaw, who was good towards back half of the season last year, sub-275 on base. Victor Carantini has been able to give you about a 350 on base. Ryan Jeffers has been able to move the line as well, so you've got a few guys doing an okay job there, but Tristan Gray is not a guy that I'm necessarily too bullish on, and man, it has been rough for the New York Mets. Finally, we're able to look a little bit more respectable yesterday, and Luis Robert has been pretty solid. We talked about Dylan Rockford. He's been able to give the team a few home runs, and after he was so miserable with the White Sox last few seasons, about a 350 or so on base, but Bo Bichette, sub-275 on base. Marcus Semien was never really good with the Rangers. He has been a waste of money. Francisco Lindor always gets off to a rough start to the season. Francisco Alvarez, 4 home runs, about a 360 on base, but Brett Beatty has been awful in the outfield, along with Carter Benjay, so this has been an issue for the Mets. Luke Weaver was one of the best relievers in all baseball last year. Just went straight down the toilet bowl along Devin Williams, Brooks Raley, Oscar Brisbane. They both supplied a sub-350 ERA last season, and Brisbane has been really good for the team, and I do think that Clay Holmes is going to do an okay job in terms of keeping things out in front of him, but you do have to fear a little bit of regression here with Clay Holmes, as well as he, throughout his career with the New York Mets, dating back to the beginning of 2025, has a 3.34 ERA, but a 4.12 fielding dependent. Just 0.8 home runs allowed per 9 innings, but 3.6 walks, 7 strikeouts per 9 innings. So, circumstance where I did set my total here at a 8.2, 8 or less, I'll be in on the over, 8.5 or higher the under, assuming that it's pretty much a wholesale approach for the Twins, plus 159 or better. Looking at the Twins on the money line for the Mets, minus 157 is where I set that money line price at. Would need at least a plus 135 to take a shot on the Mets laying a run half on the run line. 977, 978 on the card. The Pittsburgh Pirates are going to be on the road against the Walker Texas Rangers. Jack Leiter hopes to lighter it up for the Rangers, and Braxton Ashcraft goes for Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is in a pick'em game. Both teams are between minus 108 to minus 110 on the money line. Totals between 8 to 8.5 on the 8. Over is minus 120. The under is even on the 8.5. Over is between between minus 105 to a minus 115 on both sides, and I'm going to be looking at that 8.5 under, mostly seeing 8.5. Did semi-total at an 8.3. Braxton Ashcraft has been electric since coming up to the big league level. He's been able to supply since the beginning of the 2025 season a 2.63 ERA in 30 career appearances, many of them out of the bullpen, but still 9.6 strikeouts, 0.3 home runs allowed per 9 innings. Jack Leiter, he has a 4.87 ERA thus far this season, but he is getting 10.5 strikeouts per 9 innings, 4.16 fielding independent. That leans a little bit towards positivity, and we have seen the Pirates average about a full run per game less when they've been away from home rather than at home. Now it's a Pirates lineup that it's been much better this year than they were a season ago. Last year they were dead sinking last in the big leagues in terms of run creation. O'Neal Cruz was hitting like a 200 last season. He's been able to give you over 350 on base with 4+ home runs. Ryan O'Hearn has been a massive upgrade for the team. Last year over 350 on base with 20+ home runs. He's been able to give you over a 400 on base this season. Brian Reynolds, after a disappointing 2025, over a 370 on base. Nick Yorkie has been a nice surprise for the team. Jake Magnum is moving the line. Henry Davis continues to be a flop along Colton Griffin, but all in all, solid lineup. And then for the Rangers, this team has been in the bottom 10 in terms of their overall run production, but Jake Berger, Corey Seager, 5 home runs apiece. Now for Seager, he's hitting right around a 200. You have to figure that that's going to be going northward. Josh Young has found a way on. He and Brendan Nimmo hitting about a 300. Wyatt Langford, after a really slow start to the season, he's been picking it up a little bit, but Josh Smith hitting below the middle sign of 200. You still have not gotten a lot of Jock Peterson. That's an issue, but reason why I trusted in the Rangers here, set them at a minus 128 on the money line. Really good bullpen. They're in the top 4 in terms of bullpen ERA. They are dealing with Robert Garcia and Chris Martin being a little bit banged up. A Cole Winn, a sub 2 ERA last season. Tyler Alexander, Jalen Beeks may not have amazing ERAs, but they're able to fill a lot of innings. Jacob Latz is a good long guy. Jacob Junis, sub 3.25 ERA last season with the Cleveland Guardians. So I do think that the Rangers find a way here, like that 8.5 under, semi-total at 8.3, and with Rangers willing to lay up to a minus 127 on the money line, wrap things up with 979, 980. The White Sox are on the road against the Arizona Diamondbacks. Eduardo Rodriguez goes for the Snakes, and you've got Anthony Kay saying okay to another start for the White Sox. 9 to 9.5 is a total on the 9.5 under is minus 115. The over is minus 105 on the 9. Over is minus 120. The under is even. Diamondbacks are between minus 140 to minus 156 favorites, and between plus 128 to a plus 135 is that number on the White Sox. Set the Diamondbacks at a minus 166 on the money line, so I am going to be willing to lay it. And for Eduardo Rodriguez, I do think that there's going to be a little bit of positivity from this season. Last year, a 5.02 ERA was giving you a fielding independent. That was about a full point less for Rodriguez. He's not quite the same strikeout artist that he was towards the beginning part of his career. Right now this season, 5.5 strikeouts per 9 innings. He's posting up a 196 ERA, but a 4.22 fielding independent. So I do think that that's going to be going northward, especially when you consider last year, 1.5 home runs, 3.5 walks per 9 innings. And for Anthony Kay, spent the last few seasons overseas, and a pretty solid start here thus far coming back to the States. 2.60 ERA, but 5.32 fielding independent, 6.2 strikeouts, 4.7 walks per 9 innings. So I do think that against a Diamondbacks lineup that has been a little bit down this year, but last season they were a top 5 unit with regards to run scoring. I do think that they're going to get to them quite a bit. And for this White Sox bullpen, there's really nobody that's trustworthy whatsoever. Right now they are just having Sir Anthony Dominguez as a closer. That's not where you want to be. Chris Murphy, I would argue, is their best bullpen pieces on the injured list. Grant Taylor's been solid as an opener, but Jordan Leisure, Sean Newcomb, these are guys that supplied north of a 4 ERA last season. Jordan Hicks is just completely washed in general. And then for the White Sox, this has been a bottom 7 team in terms of run creation. They've had Muntaka Murakami give you 8 home runs in his 15 total hits, so he's either hitting a home run or he's not hitting at all. As a matter of fact, for the White Sox yesterday, you had 2 guys in the starting lineup hitting above a 209. You've had Everson Pierre give you 3 home runs, hitting about a 300. Jason Meteroff has been hitting about a 250. That's about it. That's not good. Edgar Quiroz taking some massive strides back. Austin Hayes is now on the injured list, so lots of issues there. And for the Arizona Diamondbacks, Ketel Marte, not necessarily getting on base the way that he typically does. That'll pick it up. He has been able to give you 4 home runs thus far. Corbin Carroll, he's giving you a 300 average, 390 on base. He has been rock solid. Nolan Arenado, 3 home runs, but he looks to be a little bit washed. But Guillermo Vargas, Justin Fernandez entered in yesterday, hitting above 300. They are doing some injuries with Gabriel Moreno out at the catcher spot, but Anthony Del Castro has been hitting above a 300. Carlos Santana being on the injured list is honestly not a bad thing for the Diamondbacks, and do have to have some question marks with regards to this Diamondbacks bullpen. Last year they were in the bottom 8 in terms of bullpen ERA. Taylor Rashi is not the answer for this team. Juan Barrio last year north of a 4 ERA. Ryan Thompson last year was really good for the team, and he's been good once again this season. Andrew Huffman is a guy that gives you good innings, but Paul Sebold, even though he's off to a good start this season, do have some question marks there, so did set a little bit of higher total here of a 9.4. So at the 9, I would rather have the 9 over rather than the 9.5 under. Looking there, and for the Diamondbacks, we'll delay up to a minus 165 -5 on the money line. And that'll wrap things up for the Wednesday edition of the Baseball Betting Show, now part of the VSiN Family Podcast. If you do like hearing from this fine podcast, Baseball Betting Show, you're able to subscribe wherever your podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, and TuneIn. If you have a question, comment, segment idea, what have you for this podcast, you have one of two ways we fire those in. First one is my Twitter/X timeline at gunit_81. Keep in mind, letters EM, they mean does not matter. So as per usual, please do send these into the timeline. The other way is find an Apple Podcast review. If you rate this podcast 5 stars, it's very much appreciated. From there, you're able to fire in whatever you'd like to hear on this podcast via that 5-star review. Big thanks once again to Dylan Rockford of the Sports Gambling Podcast Network for joining me in the last segment. Coming at you guys every single day with picks and analysis on every single game, every single day. So I'll be back with you once again tomorrow. Thank you.